Hey guys, this is a different type of video. Yeah, my hair is blow dried and it's a ponytail because I'm leaving my hair alone. I told you guys it'll be 2 weeks blow dried, 2 weeks in whatever kind of style. I woke up in a funk, I would say. I don't know why, to be honest, but I got a text from somebody that upset me before. I asked God to help me heal my heart, soften my heart, help me to be more kind and loving to that person. At this point, I haven't spoken to this person in a week until today. So I thought that the Lord did something to my heart because I didn't feel myself being angry or holding any kind of resentment towards them. I thought I was okay. I thought I was in the clear until they texted me today. And the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "Why are you texting me?" This was something that I said out loud, you know, and I just hate that I reacted that way. I hate that I was upset. I hate that that's the first thing that came out of my mouth. Instead of being gracious and compassionate, I was a bit angered, and I was like, why is that even a thing? Why do I still feel angry? Then it forced me to just sit with my thoughts and sit with my feelings for a little bit, and I was just kind of working through them, and I was just trying to understand the root. Because I thought that I forgave the person and I clearly didn't. And then it made me go down a bit of a rabbit hole to think about what is forgiveness truthfully? And what does it mean to give grace? Because you know how, especially in the Christian community, a lot of people say, give grace, give grace, give grace, give grace, right? So what does that mean? When we think about forgiveness, we often associate it with forgive and forget. That's the way the world wants us to see it, forgive and forget, right? A lot of the times our bodies don't forget. Even though there are times that we try to convince ourselves that we forgive, our bodies don't necessarily do that. Our bodies kind of remember. And it's like, how do you even navigate with that? It's just hard. It is really hard because then they'll say, you know, give it time. But then if you give it time, isn't that avoiding? The Bible says to be quick to forgive, to be slow to anger. And I find that it is really easy to say, be quick to forgive when the offense is minor, but when it's grave, how do you say this in English? When there's more gravity, grave, bro, you get the point. When it's serious, is it going to be easy to quickly forgive? If someone eats your pizza, you're gonna forgive them quickly, but well, some people might, you know? Others it might be, I guess it's subjective, right? But if it's something as small as, for example, someone closing the door and not keeping the door open for you, you'll forgive them quickly. You won't even think about it, right? But if it's someone that's, you know, does something very serious, like, can I even out or am I gonna get banned? I don't know, but you get the point. Like, if someone does that, you have to forgive them. And forgiving doesn't necessarily mean reconciliation, but then I'm noticing that giving grace does. In a sense, when people say I'm giving you grace, it often leads to that person getting access again. But then the world will say to set boundaries. So then it's such a slippery slope. Like, where are the lines? Because if I'm forgiving, okay, if I'm forgiving and if I'm giving grace, then I set boundaries. And setting boundaries may be distance for a little bit, time. Doesn't that mean that I'm being avoidant? So am I really forgiving? One of my mentors told me that unforgiveness is like bringing poison for the offender and then eating it yourself. It's like you're eating at your own heart. Your heart just naturally hardens. And so I'm just trying to understand, where are the lines? But then I'm also understanding that sometimes it's okay to not understand, and that the only thing that could be understood is the fact that only God can give the power to forgive truly. I'm learning to surrender, wanting to know. Because if you're anything like me, being Christian as a very logical person that wants to understand everything is impossible. None of this makes sense, okay? God doesn't make sense. He's supernatural. He lives outside of time. His ways are bigger. His thoughts are higher. There are no ways to understand God. Even when you think that you understand him, you'll be like, what the heck? Something that I'm learning about grace is that grace is divine enablement. Grace is the ability to do the supernatural with God. But I don't even know if I understand that for real. I don't even know if I understand the concept. Earlier this week, I made a video to myself, telling myself to be expectant without any expectations. How dare I create expectations and strategies out of my own understanding for a thing that only the Lord can reveal to me? That doesn't even make any logical sense. That's like going to the doctor tells you you're sick, and then you try to figure it out on your own instead of going back to the doctor to find out what the thing is, what the problem is. And I find myself doing that a lot, where I have expectations and I think I want something to go a specific way, and then when it doesn't go that way, I get disappointed. Did I even inquire of the Lord about how this is gonna work? And this is one of them, where I was like, God, this person really hurt me. And I know that you're all about grace, and that you're all about giving me grace so that I can extend it into others, because there are a plethora of people that I've hurt and they forgave me. They gave me grace. I want to be able to do the same thing. So then I just stop speaking to this person, and then I'm expecting that everything's gonna be worked out, and then they message me and it's just like emotion again, or it's like a trigger. And I'm here trying to understand how forgiveness and grace works, because how am I truly forgiving and how am I truly giving grace if I'm actually being avoidant, if I'm not actually speaking to the person? Is that really forgiveness? Is that really grace? Am I setting boundaries, or am I being avoidant? Sometimes you don't need to know what, you don't need to know why, how, when any of the things are going to happen, whether it be healing, whether it be a job, whether it be a relationship, a career, an increase, a ministry. You may not know anything, but if you know who, you have everything. It's truly impossible to live in peace if you hate somebody. And we might say, oh, I'm not even thinking about them. I don't hate them. I'm just not even thinking about them. You're avoiding. We're avoiding. That's avoidance. It's impossible to truly love somebody that hurt you so bad without the power of God. Like, still love them. That's God. It's like, God, how are you getting pinned to a cross? Looked up at your father who literally put you there and told him forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. How did you do that? He forgave like immediately. Even something that was that deep. But it's our human nature to hold on to stuff and to, nitpick what we want to forgive quickly and what we don't, or what we can't. And then also in the book of Judges, there was this cycle that you'll notice if you read, that the Israelites would do evil in the eyes of the Lord. So they would commit idolatry, and then after that and then the Lord would punish them. And then after that, they would cry out to God for forgiveness, and then the Lord would raise up a deliverer. He would free them, and then they would be like, okay, we're serving you, God, you're our only God. And then they would worship their idols again, and then it would happen over and over and over again. They would just keep on doing this cycle over and over again. And God was so compassionate, and God still gave them so much grace. He still delivered them every single time. Obviously, he gets tired at one point. At a certain point, you're just abusing grace. But he forgave them. And then some might say, okay, but that's God, I'm not God. But we are made in his image. And if he is able to forgive me, and he's had other people forgive me, why can't I forgive others? But you know what's so annoying sometimes is like when you know what to do, you know what to say, you know all the right things, but the way that you're acting and the way that you're living don't mirror that. The fact that this life manual tells us exactly how to live, and it's still impossible to do on a day-to-day basis, no matter how much you read it, just speaks to how real this is. I don't want to know everything. And quite frankly, even this morning, I was just sitting down on my bed and I was like, I don't know what to pray. I don't know what to pray. But my Bible says that he hears our cries, and he hears our groans, he hears our murmurs, he hears our complaints, he hears all of that. So sometimes silence is prayer. Sometimes just staring into space and being still is prayer. I'm surrendering the need to know how to forgive right now. Forgiveness to me now means the divine enablement to love someone, something, to love someone or something in spite of all things. That's it. Yeah. The divine enablement to love someone or something in spite of all things. That's what it means to me. Forgiveness cannot be done without God. Period, point blank. I've come to the realization that it just can't. But isn't God so wonderful that there's so many things in this world that are everything is like impossible without him? So forgiveness doesn't mean move on. Forgiveness doesn't mean not thinking about them, not talking to them, out of sight, out of mind. That's not what it means. It means love. Oh, why am I crying? Stop, okay. It means love. Bible says God is love. And it also says that love, which is God, keeps no record of wrongs. Forgiveness is love. Hey guys, it's Karma of the Future. What I was trying to say here is that God is love. And if God is love, and forgiveness is also love, because forgiveness is the last thing that he did before he died on the cross. And that was an act of love. So the question now becomes, how do we love? Okay, so then now part 2. How do you love? Because see, look, I don't know if anybody else is like this, but I don't like to reach out to people. Not in the sense that like I'm too good to reach out to someone. That's not my thing. I just never really was raised that way. My grandma would call a lot. She would always call and stuff, but I would never go out my way to call somebody or reach out to them to check on them. You know, saying like, how are you doing throughout the day? That's just something that I just never did. And so I started experiencing friends that would be like, oh, you don't check on me. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I didn't even know I had to. Because, see, my logic, the way that it works is like, if I miss you, I'll tell you. And, you know, if you miss me, just say that. And then we can start talking. We make plans. Because I'm an in-person kind of person. Like, I want to see you in person. As I'm getting older, I'm realizing that some people, they need that. They like that. That's how love looks to them. For me, love is buying me food. Or just buying me gifts. I feel like love languages are a scam. I think that everybody should do everything. There's some people that actually don't care for gifts. I don't care for people to buy them things. But me, you can buy me everything. I also believe that it also comes down to how you were raised. Because some people don't really even know what they like. They just know what they were taught. So if they grew up never getting gifts, but they grew up with their parents maybe doing everything for them, cooking for them, cleaning for them, they might associate their love language to being served or serving. Whereas me, I grew up with getting gifts. So I'm going to associate my language to getting gifts. But then it wasn't until I met people that were servers, that were naturally servers, that they started serving me. And I was like, okay, I like that too. So that's why I feel like it's a scam. I just think that everybody likes everything. It wasn't until I started building my relationship with the Lord that I actually learned what love was. None of the things that I experienced in the past could compare to what I experienced in the Lord, and I knew that that was love. We love based on experience. We love based on what we think love is, by what we see, by what we hear, and by what we're around. But God is the creator of love, and he knows exactly what we need. Love is wholeness. That's what love is to me. There is nothing in the world, no person, no thing that can fill all the places that I'm lacking the way that God is able to. And that's how I know that that's love, and whatever that was not love. So that being said, now how do I apply this to loving others? I can ask God to help me or show me how to love the person. Because since God is all-knowing, he knows what they're lacking and what they need. So I have to ask God for what they need so that I can show up as that. But I'm not going to show up as that the way that God is. But I can support in those areas. If I know that there's someone that battles with insecurity or just fear, because that's what it's actually rooted in, I'm not going to add on to that. I'm going to show up as someone that maybe speaks life into them, maybe reminds them of who they are in God's eyes, but God's going to ultimately do the work. Humbling ourselves and asking God what the people need, the people that hurt us, puts us in a position of compassion, because then we can learn what that specific person is lacking. It may not be that we need to show up as that person for that person, but it can be from a place of, okay, I need to pray for this person to receive this, and they will receive it by the grace of God. Because at the end of the day, the reason why people act the way that they do is a lot of times because of what they've been through, similar to why we may have acted the way that we have acted in the past because of our experiences and our environments. So in that same way, I believe that humbling ourselves and asking God, what does this person need, can help us gain a new perspective and change the way that we see them. Instead of seeing them as the villain, we can see them as someone that needs help in this area. Not making an excuse for that person, but just showing them that there is light by either showing up as that thing or praying for them. The Bible says iron sharpens iron. I can't be iron unless I'm sharpened. So I need the work to be done within me first so that I can show up as that person, as that iron for the other person. But it comes down to seeking first the kingdom. It's so interesting how in the Bible, whenever we are told to first do something, it is in a position of humility. For instance, first seek the kingdom, first be reconciled with your brother, first take the log out your own eye. It's a constant position of humility that we have to be in order to live righteously. So if I seek God first pertaining to my relationships, and I ask God for wisdom about how I'm supposed to treat said person, he will give me the wisdom on how to treat that person, and then I will show up. Naturally, that will be received as love. I don't know though, those are just my thoughts. Because see, that's my problem. I try to understand, but I don't need to understand. And I feel like I'm just talking right now. So I think that there's really no way of doing this without God. Because without God, how am I supposed to know what they need? I can ask them, but they don't even know what they need. I don't even know what I need. There was a time that I thought that I needed thousands of dollars. And then God didn't give it to me. And in this season, he's given me just enough. It's in this season right now that I'm learning that I have exactly what I need. And that if I had the thousands of dollars, I would have mishandled it. I would have not been a good steward of that money. When you clicked on this video, I hope that you didn't come to get any kind of answers or solutions, because I am just like you. I'm figuring it out too. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this train of thought helped you somehow. Hopefully it did. If it didn't, I'm so sorry for wasting your time. Love, Creisha. I kind of wanted to say I love you there, but I don't know you. Bye. Hey guys. But I got a trim today.